teach women how to invest. So I've been doing that for about 5 years. I'm a former stockbroker. I'm an investment advisor. And when I went to law school, so the reason why I went to law school is because I was laid off because of the financial meltdown. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to law school because that's always something that I wanted to do. So I went to law school, and then I kind of got into, I had all my friends calling me saying, Courtney, I'm leaving my job. I need to do a rollover. How do I do it? Courtney, I'm about to have kids. Just open a 529. I'm like, hey, I got to bill hours. So let me, because I was working for a big firm at the time, I was like, well, let me do a blog, and it gives you kind of the background, and then if you have like specific questions, you can come back to me, because I can't bring you up to speed and do all of this at the same time. So then my friends started to share the information, and then their friends started to share the information. I was like, okay, I think I'm on to something. And so it's kind of been going on for 5 years. I became a investing in cannabis expert because, you know, I guess it just happened. And we've just been rocking and rolling since then.
Wow. All right. Well, that's a heck of a story. So for, well, let's see. I want to figure out like where I want to start out with this. So you kind of gave us some of your background into, you know, the worlds of law and finance. This Nipsey Hussle situation that's going on, because at this point, as far as I know, it has not been resolved as of yet. It sounds like they're still trying to work this out within the courts. So can you first kind of give folks some background on what is actually happening here, like what his family is having to figure out within the court system as a result of there not being a will?
So there's a couple of things that are being figured out because of the not being a will. So there's a lot of trust funds. I just want to be very clear that there are trust funds, but it's kind of like a missing puzzle. So it's kind of like, think about, you have two things that work together, and you have one of the things that's not there. So that's kind of what the situation they're dealing with, what it looks like in terms of a picture. So what they're dealing with is trying to deal with his business dealings that wouldn't typically, interest in a business typically goes through an estate. It's typically goes through probate, which a will would control where it was going. Sometimes that's captured by a trust, sometimes it's not. It seems that it's not. His brother Black Sam is attempting to get resolution of his business dealings. And in a document to apply to the court, he says that Nipsey's estate that's not covered by the trust is about 2.035 million. So it's kind of like a lot. So everybody's thinking like, oh, everything's covered by the trust, but unless you convey everything you have to the trust, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to forget something, or something's going to happen that's not going to be covered, then it goes through your estate. And normally your will would pick that up, but in this case, because the will, it doesn't exist, it goes through what's called the laws of intestacy. So that kind of causes a lot of confusion, because the question is, okay, well, because one of the things that a will say is who is going to stand in my spot as, you know, kind of dealing with my family, with my estate, kind of my final expenses, my final business dealings, kind of clearing everything up, that it's named in the will. But since there's no will, then there's a lot of people who have rights to actually open his estate. His parents have a right to open his estate and be the administrator. His siblings do. Now his children would if they were of age, but Cross and Imani are both minors. So of course they're not able to open the estate. So there's kind of like, all right, well, who's going to do it? And then the question is, who's probably most qualified to do it? It probably would be Black Sam's brother.
Because he was involved in pretty much all of those business dealings and knows it most closely. And the other issue is that Lauren London, apparently they weren't necessarily married. And there's been like back and forth about whether they were married, whether they weren't. I would assume that, and you know, there's always caution with assumption, but I would assume that if they were married, he wouldn't be in court right now over this.
You would still have to have an administrator named. It would probably be his wife if they were married. It doesn't seem that they, from what I can gather, it doesn't seem that they actually were married. So that's kind of the disconnect also. But he also is having problems with his oldest daughter, Imani, because what a will also do is they'll also offer guardianship. Who's going to be the guardian of a child? And that wasn't listed.
So now his sister was in court.
So from what I've read with TMZ, I think that it's been definite that she's going to remain with Nipsey's sister.
With his sister. Yeah, okay. So kind of getting back to this estate planning, which in my mind is like where there's a will, like literally a will, there is a way, like a path to move forward. And that just kind of speaks to why it is important to have a will. And I feel like that's not necessarily the kind of conversations that we typically tend to have in the household. And so I want to make sure that we have that in our Word family household right now in this moment. So based on what you've gathered from this whole situation, what can we learn about the importance of having a will and an estate plan?
So the importance, I think everybody thinks of the will and they're like, oh my gosh, the will, that means I'm going to die. Well, let's be very honest. Everybody's going to die. So we have to kind of get over that. Get over it. Get over yourself. You know, there's a time, we all have a time and a place here. And at some point, that time and that place here is going to expire. So it's kind of like getting in front of it. Also, I think the bigger thing of having a will is making sure that your family's not fighting, because they will.
That real, y'all know. Weddings and funerals bring out some interesting aspects of personalities.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, people will tell me, and a lot of times they'll say, well, I don't have anything. I'm like, you have a bank account, right? Yeah. Somebody's going to fight over that. You know, you have a broken lamp. Yeah. Somebody's going to fight over it. I mean, so
even if you think you don't have much, because that's my thing. I'm like, I don't really know. You know, like, what if it's not that much? But still, I mean, and even still, just to kind of set out all of those things, you want to make sure that your family, they know what you want. I mean, your funeral arrangements can be set out in your will. Also, who, like I said, who has guardianship over your minor children is set out in the will. Kind of, even Michael Jackson had a will. And I think a lot of people are just like, oh, all rich people have trust. No. Michael Jackson had a will and a trust. So he had what's called a pour over will, which means it's kind of very basic. It was like 2 pages. So he said, I'm Michael Jackson. This is my last will and testament. My mother, Katherine Jackson, has guardianship over my children, names them by name. And he also says anything I have, and it's called the rest, residue, and remainder clause, which basically kind of captures anything, is going to go into the Michael Jackson Living Trust. So that's all it needs to do. It's basically say, like, okay, it says who gets it, and then the trust on the other side says, okay, what are they supposed to do with it when they do get it? And it makes life so much easier because, again, you're setting things up so you're not fighting. And you make it kind of quick and easy, because a lot of people are like, oh, if something goes through probate, it's going to be expensive, it's going to be time-consuming. No, not if you have a will and nobody's fighting the will. And a friend of mine said, oh, well, we had a contest. So it basically says somebody didn't agree with the will. They didn't think it was valid. And it kind of was this whole drawn out thing. And the way that you deal with that is you have a contest clause. If you want to contest my will, that's cool. But please understand that it may not work out well for you. And it makes people think twice about contesting the will. So you got to think about who's the folks that's most likely going to try to say otherwise than what you've written, and you just make sure you write that clause. And you say, hey, boo-boo, I thought about you. Don't you do it. Don't you try it.
Don't try it.
Don't try it. No, so another thing I wanted to ask about the will, and I feel like because I've heard kind of conflicting things about this, the old school way of just kind of getting that piece of paper and writing it down versus going through a lawyer and having a kind of a formal will drafted. Is there, when it comes to the legal system, is there a difference in what is accepted as the will?
Correct. So you should have a official will done, but you can, in Pennsylvania, can write on a piece of paper whatever your wishes are, and it can be probated. Now it's going to be a lot harder because they have to prove that it is your handwriting,
okay,
and it has to prove kind of a lot of different things that you, as a layperson, may not even be able to appreciate. So you're just better off saying, "Hey, just let me go sue an attorney, get this done, and get it done right," and then you always have the opportunity to update it. But I'm gonna be very honest. We talked about this in law school. A lot of people don't update their will at all.
So they do it like in their maybe 20s, 30s, and then, may pass in the 80s, and you have this whole chunk of time unaccounted for.
Correct. And now if it's written decently, it's going to cover a lot of things. So it says, listen, whatever kids I have, they split it equally. Okay. However, like in the case of Aretha Franklin, she didn't have a will, but she also had a special needs son. So by the laws of intestacy in Detroit, and intestacy means you die without a will, or I should say die without a will in Michigan, one of the things that kind of her sons get equal shares of the estate. But you have one son who's not going to be able to handle his responsibilities when it comes to his portion, his share, because she was taking care of him all that time. He, from what I understand, he had some type of injury or brain injury that caused him to need, I guess, to be special needs after he was an adult. So again, you know, yes, he's an adult, but he needs a trust set up for him. So again, it's kind of making sure that everybody's taken care of in the way that you want them taken care of.
Yeah, which is important. So, Loves, let me pause here in case you may just be tuning in. I'm chatting with Courtney Richardson. She's an attorney. She's the founder of the Ivy Investor. And she was also recently named one of the 7 Black millennial financial experts to follow on Instagram in 2019 by Black Enterprise. We're currently talking about estate planning, specifically having a will. And so if you have any questions about estate planning, by all means, call in. Join the conversation, 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065. Toll free, 866-361-0900. Again, that's 866-361-0900. So, Courtney, are there any other important things that you feel like we need to make sure we touch on when it comes to wills and handling that business?
So, okay, so I like to go into the loss of what we call intestacy, meaning you die without a will, because a lot of people, there's a lot of, and this is only in Pennsylvania. I can't speak for any other state. Only in Pennsylvania. A lot of people think, oh, I'm married, I have a spouse, and if something happens to my spouse, I get his whole estate, even if he doesn't have a will. That's not the laws of Pennsylvania. The laws of Pennsylvania say, so for example, you know, if I get married and I don't have any children, then my spouse gets the first $30,000, and then half of my estate after that goes to my parents, and then the other half of my estate goes to my spouse. Well, that's not everything. Spouse doesn't get everything there. And then also, if I have kids with my spouse, but I don't have a will, and then it's, again, the first $30,000 goes to my spouse, but then it's half and half to my spouse and my children. Wait a second. But then on top of that, if I don't have if there's kids, if I have kids and I don't have them with my spouse, then it's 50-50. But again, that's not what everybody thinks. And then also, I've always thought it was really interesting, if you're involved with a, how do we call it, an unlawful killing, you lose your estate share.
Wait, what? Run that back? What does that mean?
So for example, for example, if you murder your spouse, and you are entitled to the insurance money. A lot of people think, they're like, yeah, I'm going to get this insurance money. Oh, no, player. There's what's called the Slayer statute. And
they called it that? Sorry, go ahead.
No, they called it that. It's literally in the Pennsylvania Code. It says the Slayer statute. You're not entitled, if you are a part of an unlawful killing, you are not entitled to any part of that estate. So you basically lose your rights. So, oh, you thought you were going to get that insurance policy?
You played yourself. Congratulations, you played yourself. So when it comes to wills, that's what I do want to ask you. Since it is best to go through an attorney, you know, I think about costs that may be associated with that, and everyone may not be able to afford that. What should the average person do who, you know, basically now is having to choose between setting up a will through an attorney or like paying a rent? Like, how do we navigate that?
So there's community legal services. There's actually called community legal services. There's also Philly VIP. There's also some of the law schools in the area have what's called a legal clinic that you can sign up and have a will done. Also, barristers, the Black Lawyers Association, they're having a life planning clinic June 1st.
Oh, awesome.
So again, there's a lot of different options if you're looking for it available to you to actually have a will set up. It's so worth it, because I tell people all the time, it's like, you want your family to be able to mourn your death kind of in peace. But if you end up fighting over money, you're not going to find any peace.
Yeah.
And it just causes, I have a friend who actually, her dad didn't die. Her dad died without a will. And her sister opened the will, basically forged her all her information. And they were in court for 3 years trying to clean up the mess. Wow. But if there was just a will and everybody knew what her dad wanted, we wouldn't have been there. And we wasted a lot of money of the estate.
Right, just trying to actually clean up the mess. Yeah. Wow. So even the money that you would have gained access to through the estate now is pretty much used. Yeah, that's real. That makes it very clear on why this is important. Loves, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to learn a little bit more about the Ivy Investor. I know it's Man Crush Monday, and you know, that's why estate planning, of course, that applies to all of us. But since I have Courtney here, I want to dive into the Ivy Investor and also learn a bit about that, because I feel like, you know, that's important stuff for us to know too when it comes to investing and all of that good stuff. So you're in the lounge on WURD Radio 96.1 FM 900 AM. We'll be right back after these messages.
Brothers and sisters,
don't miss The Source.
Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio,
WordRadio.com, and the Word Radio app.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Ladies and gentlemen, we all walk down many streets. Sometimes we walk the wrong way, and many times we celebrate because we finally find the right way. Listen to this autobiography by Portia Nelson in 5 short chapters. As we listen, the question is, what street are we on now? Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street.
WordRadio.com.
Are you stressed from work and daily life? Are you lacking the confidence to become the person you want to be? Do you want to take your healthy lifestyle to the next level? If so, let's work together. Hello, I'm Helana, your resident self-care strategist. 14 years ago, I started my very own wellness journey, and since then have been able to help hundreds of people to regain control of their lives through yoga, meditation, and plant-based eating. If you want lasting lifestyle changes and to build healthy habits that will grow with you, text me your email address right now. I know you have your phone in your hand at 267-281-3890. Again, that's 267-281-3890. Text me your email address to receive your very own self-care guide.
AffordablePhillyPainters.com. Commercial painting. Hi, my name is Umar the Painter. With 17 years of experience painting and exterminating in the tri-state area, anything that you need for your home improvement, I can make sure it happens at any price and any budget. If you're looking for someone that's reliable, that pays close attention to detail, and is affordable, AffordablePhillyPainters.com. Thug extermination, AffordablePhillyPainters.com. Youth education, AffordablePhillyPainters.com. Come on, say it.
I'm Democrat Jamie Gaudier, and I'm running for City Council in the 3rd District. Growing up in Kingsessing, I learned the importance of community. I founded a program to help single moms graduate college, served as executive director of the Fairmount Park Conservancy, and created jobs in affordable housing programs. I'm Democrat Jamie Gaudier, and on City Council, I will battle gentrification and improve our schools. It's time for new leadership in West and Southwest Philly.
Paid for by Jamie for West Philly.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at Forward.
Word TV.
Black Talk Media.
The Lounge with Sincerely Sarita. Sincerely Sarita. Right now on Word Radio.
So freaking bad, by all of the things I never had. I wanna be on the cover of Forbes magazine, smiling next to Oprah and the Queen. Oh, every time I close my eyes, I see my name in shining lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
Yeah, I would have a show like Oprah. I would be the host of Everyday Christmas. Give Trappy a wish list. I'd probably pull a Angelina and Brad Pitt and adopt a bunch of babies that ain't never had. Give away a few Mercedes like, here lady, have this. And last but not least, grant somebody their last wish. It's been a couple months that I've been single, so you can call me Travis Claus minus the ho-ho. Get it? I'll probably visit with Katrina hit and sure do a lot more than FEMA did. Yeah, can't forget about me, stupid. Everywhere I go, I'ma have my own theme music.
Every time I close my eyes,
what you see, bro?
I see my name in shining lights. Oh, yeah,
what else?
a different city every night. I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire. When I'm a billionaire.
Let's go. I'll be playing basketball with the president, dunking on his delegates. Then I compliment him on his political etiquette. Toss a couple million in the air just for the heck of it, but keep the 5s, 20s, 10s, and bins completely separate. Yeah, I be in a whole new tax bracket. We in recession, but let me take a crack at it. I probably take whatever's left and just split it up, so everybody that I love can have a couple bucks. And not a single tummy around me would know what hungry was, eating good, sleeping soundly. I know we all have a similar dream. Go in your pocket, pull out your wallet, put it in the air and sing.
I wanna be a billionaire, so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had.
Buy everything.
I wanna be on the cover of Forbes magazine, smiling next to Oprah and the Queen.
What up, Oprah?
Oh, every time I close my eyes,
what you see, bro?
I see my name in shining lights. Oh, yeah,
what else?
a different city every night. I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
Sing it.
When I'm a billionaire. I wanna be a billionaire, so freaking bad.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I know who is a millionaire. You want to know who? In case you missed it, Aaron Smith, the rapping professor and host of Word on the Go. He won $1 million on the music game show Beat Shazam. It's hosted by Jamie Foxx. So congratulations, Aaron Smith, Word's own, the rapping professor, and host of Word on the Go. He won $1 million on Beat Shazam. And all I want to know is, can a sister hold $1? Because, you know, we just had the 2019 graduating class of Morehouse. You know, they just got their whole student loan debt just pretty much promised to be wiped out. They're not going to even have to worry about that. And I think, you know, we should just ride this wave, right? You know, that totaled about $40 million that guy's going to go ahead and wipe out. So, you know, I know Aaron just, you know, he just got the millionaire status. So, you know, no pressure or anything. But if you're looking for one, you know, 7-year removed college student who might, you know, need a little something. Holla at me, player. Holla at me. I'll be here in the studio, in the station, you know, where you can find me. No, but seriously, congratulations to Aaron Smith for winning Beat Shazam, hosted by Jamie Foxx. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. If you missed that episode, trust me, you can Google it. You'll find it on all across the interwebs and all that good stuff. Just really quickly before we jump back into the chat I'm having with Courtney Richardson of the Ivy Investor, I want to make sure, because I know, you know, some of us got bedtimes. We don't play about that. 10 p.m. we're in the bed, face what, all of that, clothes laid out, ready for the next day. Reminder to vote, y'all. May 21st, PA primaries. It's going down tomorrow. Please get your rest tonight, but do not sleep on the importance of this election. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Get your rest tonight, but do not sleep on the importance of this election. Okay, I know it's not a presidential election. I know it's like not that big, splashy, sexy, you know, ooh, who's going to lead the free world type of thing. But this is who's going to lead the city that you wake up in, that you work in, that you sleep. Like who's leading the city that you live in every single day. That's important, right? And that's going to shape what the presidential election ends up looking like. That's going to shape what your day-to-day life ends up looking like. So that's just a reminder. Make sure you all are up bright and early to get your votes in, okay? Because we ain't playing about that. Anywho, now back into our conversation with Courtney Richardson. She's an attorney, founder of the Ivy Investor, recently named one of the 7 Black millennial financial experts to follow on Instagram in 2019. This is our Money Monday segment. And so we've been talking about estate planning, specifically about wills. This coming up in light of recent news that Grammy Award nominated rapper and businessman Nipsey Hussle did not have a will prior to his death. He did have trust funds for his kids set up, but there was no will, and so that now has affected his business dealings. Who is to oversee that? His brother Black Sam has been in the courts trying to get, become that person responsible for it. And so that just kind of got us to thinking, like, this is a conversation that we need to make sure we tap into, that we don't let get beyond us, especially with, so many of us who want to be billionaires and millionaires so bad. Shout out to Bruno Mars. We got to make sure we're informed and that we're educated on how to navigate that saying, right? To whom much is given, much is required. So jumping back into the wills, Courtney, how do you know when to update a will?
So I think we talked on the last segment that a lot of people just don't update. They don't if they have them. Now, honestly, I think the great majority of people die intestate, which means they die without a will. So I think that's the majority of people. So on the other side, for those who actually do have a will, they usually kind of get it done and forget about it. So to your question, how many times should you update your will? So I tell people you should update your will when there are life changes. So you have a death, you have a birth, or you have a divorce, or you have a marriage. So all of those things should start to kind of get you to say, hey, I might need to revisit my will. And so that's kind of what the framework is. But also on the other side, you may want to consider looking at your will again if you purchase property, if you have kind of like what we call a windfall, which is a lot of money that you come into a lot of money. You may want to update your will there. Also, it just depends, and especially if you have young kids. If the person that you were thinking was going to be the guardian, something happens to them that makes them kind of unfit to be a guardian, whether they're not with us anymore or their situation has changed, that's something that you want to update to make sure that everybody's on the same page. A lot of people who have trust, they tend to kind of move that a lot more often, but even still, the will, like as we know with Nipsey, he really needed that will in place, and it just needs to be as simple as you want, and have an attorney do it, and they can say, okay, this part will be covered by your will, then everything else will be covered by your trust. But a lot of times, if you don't have a lot of money, you may not need a trust, but you certainly need the will. But there's also assets that go outside of the will. A lot of people think about probate and then everything goes through probate, and that's not true. So what doesn't go through probate? Life insurance, your retirement accounts. And a lot of people forget about retirement accounts and life insurance. I have a girlfriend of mine, really, really good friend. Her father passed away. He was divorced from his wife maybe for 5 years when he passed. But guess whose name was still on the life insurance policy?
Wow. So the wife, the ex-wife.
The ex-wife was on there. Now that's a contract, so they can't change it.
So the ex-wife legally was entitled.
Yeah, she took that money and rolled.
Wow.
So again, like I said, if there's any, so yeah, we can look at our wills, but really look at your beneficiaries, your life insurance policies, your retirement accounts, like understand like what's going on. Also, I own a property with my mom. It's titled what we call joint tenants right survivorship. So if something happens to me, she gets the property by herself. If something happens to her, I get the property by myself. But so what that means is that actually doesn't go through my will at all. It's already kind of set up outside of my will. So the will doesn't grab everything. It grabs anything that's in your name only. So my bank account, the Ivy Investor will go through my will. My car will go through my will, but everything else, my retirement accounts, my investment accounts, they all have beneficiaries. My insurance account, my insurance policies all have beneficiaries. So again, you know, when I get married, which is soon, when I get married,
congratulations.
That will be changed. So a lot of this stuff will be changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Okay. So, wait, when did that? Now I'm like going. I can't remember what it was, but it's like squirrel, and your attention just gets completely diverted. Wait, you got to tell us your engagement story.
Oh, my engagement story. So the Ivy Investor has really kind of taken off, and it's really taken up a lot of time. So my fiance was like, hey, we have to have date night. And I was like, okay. And he's like, no, we're going to have date night. Okay. And like, we're going on and on and on about date night. And I was just like, dude, okay, we'll have date night. And so he was like, well, I think he said he wanted seafood. Yeah, he did say he wanted seafood. I was kind of like, I don't care either way with what we have. But I wanted to go to a place like kind of in Brandywine, since we wanted to do something very, kind of very special. I mean, because I was just like, okay, date night. I'm going to try to make it special. This is what because he's like, I'm going to make you plan it. I was like, okay, fine. So we came up with Legal Seafoods because the place in Brandywine didn't even work. So we came to see Legal Seafoods. I love Legal Seafoods. It's like my favorite place in King Prussia. So like, you know, we get in the car together, and like he hands me like this thing of flowers, and I'm like, these are nice, thanks, you know. And I like, as I'm like trying to like maneuver them in the car, I almost take out his eye. I was like, oh,
just awkwardness.
And he's like,
awkwardness.
okay. So we get up to King of Prussia, we sit down, and you know, I'm sitting here like, okay, what am I going to drink? Because I love their drinks. I'm like, okay, what are we going to drink, and what are we going to have for appetizer? I'm going, and I'm like, I'm getting into this the menu, and then like as I kind of move the menu out of the way, and there's a box on the table with my ring, and I'm like, so it's not, because I'm like really into these appetizers, so I'm not really even thinking.
You are a woman after my own heart. I was into these appetizers,
and I'm like, and I start to cry, and the woman, and like our server comes over, and I'm in tears, and she's like, and I'm looking at her like, and I'm like, and she's like, oh, and I was like, okay. So I had to calm down. I had to, you know, get the ring on, get my face together, and I was so shocked.
Wow.
I was so shocked, and I told my family, they're like, oh, okay, finally he got a chance to do it. I guess they all had a conversation.
They've been waiting on you. You've been busy.
They had. And my cousin, I'm actually the only child. So my very close cousin, she was like, oh, he finally did it. I was like, And she was like, oh yeah, girl, I knew in September. Wait a second.
They've been waiting on you. They've been waiting on you. So that actually makes me think of a question, right? Being an attorney and having this insight, prenups. Do you advise them? Do you not? What do you do in this situation?
You probably should have one. I mean, just so everybody's on the same page. Everybody's on the same page. I mean, as you get older, you kind of come to the party with stuff.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that you keep your stuff. You know?
Keep your stuff.
And that's really what it is. And I know that it can be very full of angst, and it's like a really stressful thing.
Yeah. It gets really emotionally charged.
It does.
At least what I've heard. It gets emotionally charged.
It's like, what you mean? You think we're going to get divorced? And it's like, whoa, time out, player. I mean, probably not. But, you know, in the off chance that, you know, something does go left, let's get a prenup. You know, I don't know what Kanye's like, we want a prenup. We want a prenup. Like, yeah, you should probably have a prenup. You probably should.
Yeah. I mean, feel free to chime in, loves. Like, if you're for or against prenups, if you feel like that's, you know, basically putting out into the universe that the marriage won't make it, or if you're like, yeah, the marriage is an agreement, it's a contract, it's two people deciding that they want to build a life together, and a prenup just shows that they both respect what each person brings to the table, you know, as individuals. I mean, there are different sides to it. So if you want to chime in on that, feel free to 215-634-8065 or toll free 866-361-0900. Both of those numbers again, 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. Okay, so that's that. Well, first, congratulations to y'all.
Thank you.
So, do you all have a date yet? She got the rounds of applause and everything.
Thank you. So that's the funny story. So we bounced our date around a couple of times. So kind of fast fact, my mom has stage 4 cancer. Oh, wow. So we've been trying to kind of manage that and trying to make sure that we kind of don't put it off too long, but we also are working on a rehab of a house, so it's kind of like all this stuff going on. So we actually had a conversation today and we're like, okay, we're going to deal with this rehab, and then from there we're going to, you know, basically, because I don't want a big wedding.
Yeah.
I don't, but we have a really, like, he has a huge family.
Because that was my thing, was like, would you all want to do like something small at the courthouse and then something bigger for, you know, like the grand whatever?
The entrance.
Yeah, you know? Just because I don't know, I feel like with weddings, it's always, you especially in 2019, there are infinite options for what you can do and how you can go about it, you know?
Yeah. So we're kind of on the fence about how we're going to do it. We've talked about, because I'm an only child, so my dad walking me down the aisle is a really big deal. Yeah. But also my aunt singing the sorority hymn at the wedding is also like what the reception is also.
Go and let the folks know what you are.
Oh, I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Y'all had to see how the head bobbing and all of it came out, right? What she said. She got on a sweater. For those who are tuned into our Facebook Live or Word TV, you see her. You see the pink and the green with the white sweater. It's all, she's here in full force, okay? Shout out to the AKA. She is here in full force representing. She is green bag too. She got the green bag, y'all. She is representing. Just had to describe that for those who may not be tuned into the Word TV. But look, we got to get ready to take this break. When we come back on the other side, since we didn't get into it, the Ivy Investor, let's let folks know a little bit about that, where they can find it at, all of that good stuff. Do our shameless plugs.
All right, sounds good.
All right. So, loves, you're in the lounge on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.
Brothers and sisters, don't miss The Source.
Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
Walter E. Sabbath Jr. Funeral Service is introducing Cremations Are Us by Sabbath. That's S-A-B-B-A-T-H. Cremations Are Us by Sabbath is the result of their 26 years of experience with individuals and families who choose cremation. Sabbath knows that families who choose cremation have the same needs as those who choose burial. Sabbath's new component, Cremations Are Us by Sabbath, emphasizes the wide selection of services they've always offered. Visit their website, sabbathcare.com, for details, or call 215-924-4101.
The Kimmel Center for the Performing Arts is excited to present the next installment of their Jazz Residency collaboration for 2019. In its 6th year, the Kimmel's Jazz Residency program is designed for groups of local artists to create their amazing personal stories through the jazz music genre. Performing in the Kimmel's SEI Innovation Studio Thursday, June 6th will be trombonist Dan Blacksburg with percussionist Joseph Goldman. Friday, June 7th will feature the amazing sounds of guitarist David Allen, poet laureate Raquel Salas Rivera, and violinist Diana Monroe. And June 8th, the soulful Latin American composer Dario Peñazek, lyricist Maya Peñazek, and singer Ariacine Trujillo. Tickets on sale now for these special BYO events. Visit kimmelcenter.org or call 215-893-1999. Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875
or visit wordradio.com.
This Tuesday, there's a critical issue on the ballot. It's one that is about improving the quality of life in our neighborhoods, reducing traffic fatalities, and addressing crime in a more efficient way. Ballot question 4 asks voters to approve a comprehensive plan to create a class of civilian officers who will assist our Philadelphia police with traffic control. We need traffic control, parking, and other quality of life issues. These public safety enforcement officers can make a significant impact in congested areas and on neighborhood streets that need heavier enforcement, such as those near our schools. This is being proposed, this amendment, because while our Philadelphia police officers work hard, they can't be everywhere at once. Let's help them focus on the important work of crime prevention and allow these trained public safety enforcement officers to assist them working together. They can help make Philly a safer place for our families. This Tuesday, vote yes on ballot question 4. Vote yes on public safety enforcement officers.
I'm Democrat Jamie Gaudier, and I'm running for City Council in the 3rd District. Growing up in Kingsessing, I learned the importance of community. I founded a program to help single moms graduate college, served as executive director of the Fairmount Park Conservancy, and created jobs and affordable housing programs. I'm Democrat Jamie Gaudier, and on City Council, I will battle gentrification and improve our schools. It's time for new leadership in West and Southwest Philly.
Paid for by Jamie for West Philly.
My mom is stronger than anyone I've ever known. Growing up when life got hard, her strength helped pull us through. Even after her heart failure diagnosis, she remained stronger than ever.
My family's support keeps me strong. Together, we're rising above heart failure.
Heart failure doesn't have to steal your strength. For simple steps you can take to help prevent, improve, or manage heart failure, go to riseabovehf.org.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at forward.
Word TV.
Black Talk Media.
Hey now, this is Dr. Guthrie Ramsey of Musicology, and you're listening to The Lounge on Word Radio.
Yeah. They ain't gonna like it. They ain't gonna like me. I be getting to the money. Everybody mad. I think I'm getting too much money. Everybody mad. Same old name from the block. Same old name with the pot. The same old name from the trap. Everybody hated on him, then he bounced right back. I done spent a whole lot of time overseas. Doubling my money cause you know I want cheese. I've been in my hometown playing with the keys when it fell off the boat. Yeah, I'm fucked about Belize. I know it's a whole lot of that was hating. I know it's a whole lot of that was taken. So I shut the up, feeling us. Always knew that I was sick, so I had to stay patient. Taking over summer, tell me what's the bid. Heard you still cuffing, tell me what it is. You ain't paying no bills, buying no bags, buying no heels. Goddamn, let them live. All I see is 20s, 50s, 100s. If it ain't $250,000, the whip, I don't want it, about to make it sick to the stomach. I be getting to the money. Everybody mad. I think I'm getting too much money. Everybody mad. Same old name from the block. Same old name with the pot. The same old name from the trap. Everybody hated on him, then he bounced right back. She was acting stingy, now she wanna give it up. Fast life OT, I'ma live it up. Now my ex-girl tryna make me jealous cause she got a new. She don't know that I don't give a. I got me a deal, but I'm still in the street. Heard a couple talking like they got beat. They forgot sesame, teriyaki sauce with the rice on the side, sweaty, sweet. I got all this money on my mind. Diamonds in my dial, I can't even see the time. All my bullet, please don't let me bang the line. And they super extra when them off the line. All I know is Bloods, Crips, Power Rules. I'm a West Side, don't get it up. Sick, cause they thought I locked up. I be getting to the money. Everybody, man.
Yeah. Shout out to the Beehive, because I know every time y'all hear that song, that's all we think about. Anywho, that's OT Genesis. Everybody mad. You're in the lounge on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We got to shout out Courtney's husband, soon-to-be husband, her fiance. He's listening, tuning in. She might be in trouble when she go, I'm not really sure. But I just want to thank her for all the knowledge that she's been dropping. No, just all jokes. We were chatting before break about nuptials, right? And whether or not prenups is you know, what's advised, what should you consider, all of that other stuff. So we appreciate you chiming in on that. And now we're going to just completely leave that alone, and we're going to go talk about the Ivy Investor. So tell us a little bit about, I mean, you mentioned it kind of early on when we first started chatting, but before we let you get out of here, I kind of want to dive in a little deeper about the Ivy Investor, what you do, why you do it, how you do it.
Okay. So what I do, like I teach women how to invest, but it's everybody, but women's honestly my target market. And honestly, I like to give this fact. Women are actually better investors than men, statistically. However, women tend not to invest. So it's kind of like men are more likely to get into the market, but when women do get into the market, they're better investors overall. So I love it. So that's kind of what I do. And I do that I teach classes. So I teach a Stocks 101. I'm teaching and investing in legal cannabis next Wednesday live. So I do it online. So you can catch it anytime. And then also there's a replay. I also taught an IPO class. I did a lot about Uber. Uber's IPO.
And Beyonce.
I did do a big conversation about Beyonce because the information that was reported that her $6 million kind of investment was worth $300 million was not correct. It was a confusion between $600 million and $6 million and 6 million shares. That was the confusion between the two. So it kind of just caught wind, and I kind of had to track down who caused the problem, and it was Inside Story. Inside Story is the one who started the whole problem, and then it was tweeted, and then it went viral. So that's what happened.
Responsible reporting. It's so important. And I mean, everybody makes, mistakes, but you got to be mindful.
And it's hard because a lot of people don't understand investing. So
to begin with,
so once you put like a number, you put some numbers in there, and you put some kind of things that people don't understand, which is IPOs. People don't understand at all. They know it's like, oh, it's IPOing, and then what? So I teach. I have a class that teaches people how to walk through an IPO, how to evaluate IPOs. There's most of them I stay away from, but there's some that I actually say, okay, I'm going to jump in. Shopify was one of them, and they IPO'd I think in 2015, and they've just killed it. But again, it's kind of like I tell people about how to invest in the stock market, how to kind of think about like you're going to the market. A lot of people are like, oh, you go to Macy's, you see this bad leather jacket, and you're like, yes. You look at the price tag, you're like, no. but in your mind, you kind of think to yourself, you're like, you know what, this jacket is $250, but if it was $100, I'd get it immediately. Shoot, I might get two. Think of the stock market like that. So if you see something that you don't quite like the price, but you like the company, then kind of keep it on your watch list. You never know when something might happen, like I don't know, a Boeing jet fall out of the sky. I mean, not in a bad, but again, that's what's going to cause the stock price to go down. Anything could happen with a company because people, the market, just think about it, it's a bunch of people, and they're kind of just going. People act on emotion. So that's what the market does. So I will be in New York this weekend speaking at the Elevate conference. I'm doing the live class in cannabis next Wednesday. You can find me on Instagram at the Ivy Investor. And then after that, I'll be in Dallas. I'll actually be in Norristown. I'll be in Norristown June 1st at the Norristown Library. I think it starts at 11, speaking on investing. And it's free for everyone. It's actually offered by Phi Beta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So I'll be working with them. But then I'll be flying to Dallas later on that afternoon. And then I will be in Chicago the following weekend.
You're a busy woman. So let folks know, because you're jet setting out here, so let us know where we can find you at, where we can find the Ivy Investor, and basically just figure out where we can follow you all around the country at.
So you can definitely follow me on Instagram. I also have a Facebook page, The Ivy Investor. It's The Ivy Investor on Instagram, The Ivy Investor on Facebook, also www.theivyinvestor.com. I'm also on Twitter. I don't really tweet that much. I'm not a big Twitter person, but that's actually how I met my fiance.
On Twitter?
On Twitter.
He slid up in the DMs?
It slid up in the DMs.
Success. There's hope, you all.
There is hope. So like I said, I'm not really on Twitter, but you can find me that way. And then also, if you hop on my website, you can always join the email list and find out kind of what's going on, everything that's going on in the world. So
yeah, and really quick before you go, the Ivy Investor, where'd that name come from?
The Ivy plant.
Oh.
It's associated with Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Oh, okay.
But more important,
Lord, I'm so glad you did that with Grace and you ain't chopped me up and give me a side eye like you ain't know. No, I appreciate that.
But no, honestly, the ivy plant is a very strong plant. If you've ever seen ivy grow on the side of a wall, you're like, is there water there? How are you growing? How are you flourishing? It's just a very, very strong plant, and it can pretty much do well in any environment. And that's what I want my investors to be. That's what I teach my investors to be, is to be strong investors in any environment, because we've had like the bull run of, I don't know, for the last almost 9 years, we've been in what's called a bull market, which is a market that's consistently going up. It's we haven't had kind of the bottom fall out. But when it does happen, I want my investors to go, okay, this is a sale. We're not going to panic. You know, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. I'm going to be cool, calm, and collective, and I'm going to make my moves accordingly.
Gotcha.
So that's what the whole point is.
All right. Well, loves, you have just heard from Courtney Richardson. She's an attorney, founder of the Ivy Investor, and she was recently named one of 7 Black millennial financial experts to follow on Instagram in 2019 by Black Enterprise. It's about that time for me to get out of here. It's been a great Motivation Monday, Man Crush Monday, Money Monday, all of those amazing things. Tomorrow, though, right? Tomorrow is PA primary day. It's election day. So make sure you get your rest, that you wake up ready to go ahead and take all that passion that you have about this city, about the politicians, the elected officials, about what's right and what's wrong. You take all that passion and you turn it into power when you go press that button. Okay? I'm not telling you who you need to vote for or what you need to do. I'm telling you, you need to think and you need to act. Right? That's important in this time. I got to get ready to get out of here, but shout out to my guy, DJ Frosty Phoenix, for holding down the boards, the phones, and everything in between. Thank you to all of my guests who came through today, the Honorable David Alexander Jenkins, Ofo Izugu, and of course, Courtney Richardson again. I will see you right back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. And when I do, I'll be joined with, by Charles Ellison of Reality Check. We'll be coming into the first 20 minutes of the show, chatting about voting, what your experience has been, inviting you to call in. Let's bust it down and get real about what our city is, the direction that we're headed in. So make sure that you stay tuned. It's also Artist Tuesday, so we're going to make sure we keep our regular programming going. We got DJ Geek, we got Carmito, everyone coming through, making sure that we keep things rolling. So until then, I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita, encouraging you to taste your words before you feed them to someone else, and reminding you to always, always, always empathize, empower, and evolve. Peace.
You'll be regretting it. Oh, I should